Well, Ash, let's kick things off with our streaming news this week, and that is, of course, an HBO Max check-in. It's been about 3 weeks since the new Warner Media streaming service has launched, and I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about this as much as I thought they were going to. How are you feeling?
I think it's a really great streaming service. I think it's going to be extremely successful, but they just keep having very confusing things happen. And just on a personal level, like I had HBO Now or Go, whatever one, as a Hulu add-on. So it's like $14.99 a month added to your Hulu. And then to get HBO Max, you actually have the HBO Max library in your Hulu. But in order to get the HBO Max like interface that you want to use and kind of scroll around with this huge library, you have to get rid of your Hulu and then re-sign up with HBO Max. So it was a bit of a headache. And then they just keep changing the names of everything and confusing everyone even more. So
I love that you brought that up. Because a couple of weeks ago, you and I did a breakdown of what is HBO Max versus HBO Now versus HBO Go. And all of that is kind of out the window. So essentially what they've done, they're phasing out HBO Now completely, and that's just HBO Max. And then what was formerly known as HBO Go is now just going to be called HBO. So instead of the 3 apps they used to have, we're now just down to 2, which I don't know, all the back and forth. It's more streamlined, but it also took them a while to get there.
But also if you have HBO, the service, then it's just, I think it just confuses me even more, and they just keep changing it. Also, just another like hiccup with it is you still can't watch it on Roku or Amazon Fire TV.
Exactly. So we did some investigating as to where you can watch HBO Max and where you cannot. So you can watch HBO Max if you have AT&T, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, Spectrum, Hulu, YouTube TV, Apple TV, and Google Play. Where you cannot watch HBO Max as of right now is Amazon Fire TV and Roku, which is a huge, in my opinion, misstep for the streaming service, because Amazon Fire TV and Roku are 2 of the biggest streaming platforms out there.
Yeah, I think they are the biggest, and they both claim to be the biggest. They're like the Pepsi and Coke of streaming services.
Exactly. That's, of course, because AT&T, who owns Warner Media, could not make a deal with these 2 titans of streaming industries. Whether or not we're actually going to see them come to a deal is TBD. But for now, I just feel badly for all those people who are watching all of their streaming shows and they can't get access to this app. Because I actually do really enjoy the interface. It's a lot of purple, but it is really easy to navigate. And I feel like for the price, $14.99 a month, it really is so much bang for your buck.
Yeah, and like we said, like there is a lot to watch on there. There's a lot of classic films. There has been this controversy over the past week or so with Gone with the Wind. We've seen this with other streaming services too, like Disney Plus, for example. Like they didn't put Song of the South in their library. Thank goodness that was a right decision. But Gone with the Wind is an Oscar film. So this is a film that obviously has some complicated history attached to it. And John Ridley wrote this op-ed calling it painful stereotypes of people of color, to the point where HBO Max pulled it from their library. And then a lot of people were up in arms about this, being like, well, this is an Oscar film. It should be in here. But they are adding it back in with some historical context up front. This controversy about Gone with the Wind isn't a new thing. It's something that's been brought up forever, and now they are finally addressing it. And we actually just talked to John Ridley about this, because he's the one that, I don't want to say blew the lid off of this, but kind of re-upped the conversation about Gone with the Wind. So here's what he had to say.
You know, look, as a filmmaker, of course I can look at the film and look at the production design and the performances, the acting, and say, it's great, it's great, it's great. But what was it in service of? And the fact that it represents something that really never existed. You know what, I have to be honest, I think I probably had a lot less to do with what happened than people maybe give me credit for. If I'd written that op-ed 3 weeks ago, it never would have happened. And the speed with which it happened says more about what other people were doing out in communities, and the fact that Warner Media was probably already thinking about this than, you know, me writing this op-ed.
So the thing is, HBO Max launching at this time is interesting, because I don't feel like there's a whole lot of draw for me to get the app other than just wanting to watch the vast library that they already have.
Exactly. So it's mostly just so that you have access to all of those, like you were saying, classic movies. I was personally excited to see all the Harry Potter series on there because a lot of the things that HBO was really touting as their big things, the Friends reunion special, the Gossip Girl reboot, have been put on pause because of COVID-19. So this was going to be the first time that all 6 cast members of Friends had gotten together and filmed something together. And eventually the reunion special will be there for you. Just, we don't know when.
And it's a big deal.
And same thing with the Gossip Girl reboot. Kristen Bell is, of course, going to reprise her role as the narrator.
You know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.
But production on that has been pushed. We don't even think that it's going to be coming until summer 2021. And that's earliest at best. It's a lot of HBO Max will have great things, ... Eventually. Ash, how about the movie side of things?
All right, this one is wild, but HBO Max announced that they will be #releasing the Snyder Cut in 2021. Now, just to give you guys a background, if you're not familiar with the Snyder Cut, when Justice League came out, or when it was in post-production, Zack Snyder's daughter unfortunately passed away, and he stepped away from the movie. And then Joss Whedon, who had done some of the Marvel films, stepped in to kind of finish up the post-production. The film was released, and fans were quite unhappy with it. It was kind of like a mishmash of 2 different ideas coming together. And Zack Snyder had also kind of hinted, like, I had my own version, I kind of had a different idea. So this Release the Snyder Cut campaign was born. And then it picked up even more steam when the actors themselves that were part of the movie had also jumped on board. Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, they were all like, yes, release the Snyder Cut. You may have seen at Comic-Con billboards, planes going by, bus stops. I mean, these people took out ads on ads and also raised money for suicide prevention. Like there's a lot of good stuff in here. But Zack Snyder did this live stream on Vero. Remember that app, Vero? Of a watch of Man of Steel. And at the end of it, he had the fans on, and the fans were like, are you going to release the Snyder Cut? And he was like, here we go. This question always comes up. Like, Henry Cavill jumps.
He loves it.
Henry Cavill pops in. He's like, I think you should just release it. And you know what? Just watch this reaction.
See that?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is this stereo?
Very nice. So that's coming.
So yeah, it's happening. It could be a 4-hour long movie. It might even be like a little bit of a mini series, but it's coming in 2021. I am shocked that this is a real thing. But if you think of it from the perspective of a director who had to step away from his work due to a tragedy and gets to come back and finish what he wanted to do, I gotta support that. That's pretty excellent. And quick side note, since we talked about this on a previous episode, we complained a lot about Quibi and the fact that you cannot watch it on your television. But there is an update.
The streaming gods heard our prayers because now you can actually beam Quibi to your smart TV, which why this was not a part of their initial launch, we are not sure, but now you can. Will you actually beam things from Quibi to your TV? That is TBD, but at least you have the option now.
For me, I gotta say it's too little too late.
A little bit.
You insulted him a little bit.